Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be drafting the pattern for this princess dart bustier with an overbust neckline. Alright, so if you like something like this, please do well to sit and watch this video till the end, and if you haven't subscribed, please do well to hit on the subscribe button, and please turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I drop the sewing video. This video here is a pattern drafting video, so let's get started with it. So guys, I have my pattern paper and I also have my drawing materials here, as you can see. So I have this paper folded into two, so you will need it folded this way. This is the center and this will serve as the shoulder for us. All right, so on the shoulder part here, I'm going to draw a straight line. So this is where we are going to be taking all our vertical measurements from. This line is going to serve as a shoulder. So from the shoulder here, I'm going to come down by my bust point. Shoulder to bust point, I'll come down by 11 inches. And then I'm going to mark shoulder to my under bust. Alright, I'll mark shoulder to my waist. And I'll mark the full length of my blouse. I want it to be 24 inches, but I marked 23, so I'm going to add the rest when I'm cutting on fabric. I'll repeat same thing on this other side and further go ahead to connect a straight line across. To connecting, I'm just going to use my marker to call this the bust point. This is my under bust, this is the waist, and of course this is the blouse length, which is like the hemline. After that, I'm going to come up by 2 inches to get my chest line. If you don't know how to do that, divide your round bust by 6 and add 1.5 to it. So I also went ahead to connect a straight line across. On the shoulder line, I'll come in by half of my shoulder measurement, and I'm also going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Still on the shoulder line, I'll come in by my neck width, which is 3 inches here, and I'll connect from the 1 inch point I came down by on the shoulder back to the neck width, just like this. Once I'm done connecting this, the next thing I will do now is to come to the chest line and also mark half of my shoulder here, and I'll connect it into a straight line to meet this point. This is just to help me get a straight line. So guys, once I'm done connecting that, the next thing is to measure this line. So I had 8 inches and that divided by 2 is 4. I'll just mark it here. From that point, I'll come in by ½ inch. And on the chest line, I'm going to mark my round bust divided by 4. So I'm trying to create my armhole. So I'll connect all these points to give me my armhole. Now, if you don't know how to do this, just divide, like, if you don't know how to get your armhole, just take a look at what I'm doing here. So I'm going to be using my curved rule to see how I can connect a nice armhole. Alright, so you're going to connect from here to this point, and now go ahead to place your ruler this way, and connect it back to your chest line. Once you're done connecting that, the next thing is to get out that, and on the bust line, I'm going to come in by half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. It's also known as the bust span. So I marked it on the bust line, the waistline, and I also marked it here on where I have my blouse length. So I'm going to connect a straight line this way. After connecting this line, now I need you to pay attention to this part here. Because I'm very busty, like my round bust is 40 inches. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to be using the dart of 2.5 inch. So I'm going to divide this 2.5 inch by 2. So I'll give whatever I have on this side here, I'll mark it here, and also give the rest to this other side. Now, if you know you are not busty, you can make use of 2 inches. If your bust is around 35, so you can make use of 2 inches. My bust is 40, so I'm making use of 2.5 inch, and I went ahead to divide it by 2. Marked it on the both lines, and I'm going to now connect those points back to the bust line. So just take a look at what I'm doing. So since I have already marked it here, I'll bring my ruler and connect it this way. So I'm going to be using my marker. I'll connect it from here back to the bust point, and also do same thing to this other side. So guys, this particular bustier we are trying to recreate, it has like a princess dart. So for me to be able to achieve that princess dart, I'm going to come to my armhole and measure what I have around this armhole area here. You can see how I'm placing my tape following the curve of the armhole. So I'll try to see how I can follow this curve and measure it to see what I have around the armhole area. So you measure it towards down to this other side here. After I was done, I had about 10 inches. So I'm going to divide this by 2, which is 5 inches. I'm still going to fold my tape in a way that I will get where my 5 inches point is, and which is somewhere here. I'm just going to go ahead and connect it. So I'll bring my ruler and connect from this point down to the bust point. So you're going to bring your ruler and connect it in a way that you're going to connect that point we marked on the armhole back to the bust point. So I'll connect it this way down to meet my bust point where I have the dart here. I'll connect it just like this. Alright. So once you're done connecting it this way, you're now going to go out on both sides by half of an inch. So I'll come out on this side by ½ inch, and I'll come out by ½ inch on this other side here. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to now use my curved ruler to connect all these points back to the bust point. So when you are doing this, you need to be very careful because it's somehow going to be like kind of trickish, but you just need to follow it up as it goes. All right, so you can see I'm trying to place my ruler in a way that I'll have a very nice curve. So at this point, I'm going to now use this other side here. So I'll connect from here back to this point, and on this other side as well, I'm also going to try and see how I can connect this. So you need to be very careful when you are doing this. You need to connect it in a way that it will come out very nice. So first I'll connect it down here, and then further go ahead to connect it from here back to the bust point. So once you're done connecting this, you're now going to replace back that dart you took here. You are going to replace it back. So you're going to come out on this point by 1 inch. Come out by 1 inch here. And you're now going to use your ruler to extend that 1 inch point on this part here. So extend it towards that 1 inch point just like this. Now the next thing you're going to do is to still replace that 1 inch on your armhole area. You need to replace it back to the armhole. So what you do is you come down to the armhole, and you're also going to give 1 inch of that here to this armhole. So you're now going to connect here back to the armhole. All right, I just hope you understand what I'm doing. So I'll connect from that point back to my armhole this way. I'll connect it back this way. So this way, this is now our new armhole, and this other one here is no longer needed. All right, so this second one is now the new armhole we'll be working with. So once you're done with this, the next thing is to get the neckline for the blouse. And to do that, I'll first of all smoothen these areas here because you don't have to be sharp. Just smoothen this part. So I'll come up from my chest line. I'll measure from the shoulder line down to the chest line. I had 9 inches. You want to be very careful so that the neckline doesn't go straight to your shoulder. All right, you need to be very careful. So you need to be careful, let it not come to this shoulder line. And to do that, I'm just going to make use of 6.5 inch. You can decide to make use of 7 inches depending on how wide or how long you want it to be, but be careful with your shoulder line because you don't want it to be too high. All right, so once you're done, connect it back now to this point. All right, so I marked 6.5 inch. That's the height I'm using for my neckline. So I'll connect it from here now to meet this point here. So this is it here. So guys, once you're done connecting this, basically you're almost done with this pattern. And the next thing we are going to do now is to get our horizontal measurement. And to do that, I'll come to my bust point or the chest line. I have already marked my round bust divided by 4 and I added my dart, so I'm going to add my 1.5 inches of stitching allowance. I mark same thing on the bust point. Then on the waist, I'll mark my round waist divided by 4. I'll measure the dart and replace it. On the hip line, I'll mark my round hip divided by 4. I'm going to measure the dart of 2.5 inch and replace it here, and also add my stitching allowance. So I'll come to the waistline area and I'm going to replace my 1.5 inch of stitching allowance, and I'll do same thing to the hip line. So once I'm done with this, I'm just going to connect all those last points to give me my body shape. So you're going to come to the chest line and connect it down to the bust line, and also connect your armhole. So you are going to connect from the waist back to the bust point, and on the hip line, I just want to connect it in a way that is going to be having like a cone shape. I don't know if they call it a cone shape, yeah, but this is it here. So you can decide to make yours straight if you don't want it this curvy. All right, so I'll just connect it this way, and I'm going to now go ahead and cut it out. So this is my side front and the center front, so I'll go ahead and trace this out. So guys, when you are done cutting, you have it looking this way. I'm just going to go ahead and open up these patterns and show you guys what it looks like. So for the center front, this is it here because it was cut on fold. This is what I have, and the side, I have my 2-side pattern paper here, you can see. So this is how it's going to be. So we are going to transfer all of this to the fabric. All right, so but before we do this, we are first going to go ahead and draft out the back pattern. And as for the back pattern, I have also gone ahead to draft out my basic bodies. So what I did was just the same thing as the front, but the difference is I added a zipper allowance to this. Now if you want to be having like corset loops at the back, there will be no need to add your zipper allowance. All right, but I'm not going to be adding it. That's why I added my zipper allowance to it. So on the on the shoulder line, I marked 3 inches neck width, and then I marked half of my shoulder, which is 7.5, and I use that to connect my armhole just the same way we did for the front pattern. And then I marked my chest line, bust line, waistline, and the hemline. So for the back, you don't need your under bust line. All right, now that we're done with that, let's proceed. So I'm going to come in by half of my nipple to nipple measurement for the darts, and as for the back pattern, the darts we'll be taking the darts from the chest line. Unlike the front, we took the darts from the bust line. So I'm going to now connect it. So I'll connect from the hip line to meet the chest line. So this hip line is also known as the hem line. All right, so just in case you hear me talking about hip and hem line, it's still the same thing. So once you're done with this, the next thing you're going to do now is, unlike the front, we took away 2.5 inches. For the back, I'm going to use 1.5 inch on both sides. All right, so I'll come out by 1/2 inch on both sides, and I'll connect it straight to meet the chest line. After connecting the darts for the back, next I'm going to be taking my horizontal measurement. So on the chest line, I'm going to mark my round bust divided by 4 and add my 1.5 inches of stitching allowance. On the waist, my round waist divided by 4, I'll measure the little dart I have, replace it, and add my 1.5 inches stitching allowance. On the hip, my round hip divided by 4, I'll mark the dart and also add stitching allowance to it. Now note that I'm taking all the measurements from the zipper allowance line, and like I said, if you don't want to be adding a zipper to this, you want to add loops, then there will be no need to add your zipper allowance to it. So once I'm done, I'll just go ahead and connect the last point this way, and also trace out the armhole area. And then for the curvy area, I'm just going to curve it as well. This armhole area, I'll use my marker to make it very visible. So this is it here. All right, so on the hip line, which is like the hem line, I'm also going to connect it in a cone shape this way. All right, so I'll connect from here to here. Note that you can decide to make yours straight if you don't want it curvy. All right, so once I'm done with this, before I go ahead to cut this pattern out, at the zipper allowance line where I have my zipper allowance line, I'm going to come to the waistline and make this line very bold, and I'm going to connect it outside the zipper allowance this way. All right, once I'm done with that, from that zipper allowance line, I'll come out by half of an inch. I'll come out by half of an inch and use my roller to connect it in a slanted way like this. Now I'm doing this to prevent me having any zipper bulging at the back. All right, so just come out and connect it this way so that when you put on your zip, it's just going to relax very well on at the back area. It will relax perfectly. So once I'm done with this, the next thing now is to get the back neckline. So because the front neckline it's a little bit high, the back is going to be like somehow curvy but not too high as the front. So I'll just use my roller to just connect it this way to the armhole. All right, so this pattern is not going to be having a yoke, so we are just going to make use of what we have here. So I will extend it to meet this other part here, and once I'm done with this, I'll just go ahead and trace it out. So guys, another thing is, if you want to add loops to the back of this your top, you will need to divide what you have on your shoulder area like this, divide it by 2, and then connect it back to the dart. All right, so after connecting this, you're now going to divide it by 2 by cutting away the dart. All right, you just cut away the dart and use that pattern to cut on fabric and then add your loops. So because I'm not going to be doing that, there will be no need for me to cut away the dart area. So what I will do is just to cut it straight, but just in case you want to have loops, so you will need to cut out the back, and for the back you have 2 pieces same as the front. But because I'm not doing that, I'm going to be having 1 piece for the back and 2 pieces for the front. So I'll just go ahead and trace this out. So these are all my patterns here. This is the center front, and I have my sides and also the back pattern. So I also have my fabric here folded into 2. This fabric is folded into 2 this way, as you can see. So I'll be using this now to cut all my patterns, and in my next video we are going to be doing the cutting and stitching together. So thanks for watching this video, and if you haven't subscribed, please do well to hit on the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload the sewing video. If you watched this far and you haven't liked this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and don't forget to leave a comment. See you guys in my next one.